in the case of Earth, the density is like Earth is more denser at the core and mantle, right? So why the equipotential surface is at the crust?
No, no, it's
Like considering the
the
geometry as well.
equipotential surface can be anywhere, but the equipotential surface that we will consider is immediately above the Earth. Okay, that is what we are interested in.
Okay.
So if if I had I mean, very uniform concentric rims of crust and then mantle and then core, then we would have had got uh, another concentric equipotential surface because the density would have increased similarly in every radius that you have gone through, right? Now that doesn't happen. One thing that adds to the fact that Earth is not a sphere, that is one thing. And then, of course, the equipotential surface is disturbed by inhomogeneities that is present in the crust, both in terms of topography that disturbs the regularity in mass distribution, and as well as the presence of ore bodies or higher denser materials beneath the crust. That also adds to the disturbance in the equipotential surface. Okay, is that clear? So equipotential surface is everywhere you can imagine it. It's an imaginary surface, but the one that we are interested in is immediately above the Earth. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything else that you have doubts around? Well, I did not see a lot of views in the pre-recorded lecture, so it seems that you have not all been through the lecture. So that's little bit not very convenient for you because you will not be able to appreciate what we are going to talk today, right? So please make sure, and I cannot emphasize more that when you come to a class, that you are fully prepared. Okay, so I you are all grown up people, so it's up to you, but it's important that you come up with seeing all the recorded lectures, right? Okay, I hope you can view my whiteboard now. Can someone confirm? Okay, so let's begin. So where we ended the pre-recorded video was introducing you to two types of G's, okay, small G's. So the first G, we said Gn, or the theoretical value of G, okay? And that is G at the international reference ellipsoid, okay? So you can imagine the mass of the Earth, a particular value, and then you can consider where in your international reference ellipsoid your point is, and you can theoretically calculate the value of G by simple formula of Gm by R square. That is something you can very well do. So that will provide you your geotheoretical value. And then what I said, there is another thing, what we call as Gm, which is my G measured. So G measured is nothing but you take your gravimeter, and we explained how gravimeter, the basic principle of gravimeter. You take your gravimeter at any location on the earth and you measure the gravity. You measure the gravitational acceleration. Okay. Then what you do, you take this GM and take it through certain corrections. Okay? And let us say you get, after you correct your GM, you get a value. Let us say we call it as GMC. Okay, G measured corrected, and then you calculate something called delta G, and which is the main thing that we should calculate, which we call as the gravity anomaly. Which is nothing but TMC. So measured and then corrected minus GN, the theoretical. And that provides me gravity anomaly. And that gravity anomaly is essentially used to detect the inhomogeneities in density beneath the crust. Okay. That is used to detect inhomogeneities in densities beneath the surface of the earth. Okay. So we will go through all these steps, but today, and by the end of this particular topic, I'm sure you will be able to understand what we are trying to do. But today, what we are going to focus on is corrections. Okay, this is what we are going to look at. So measurement, we know we can do it simply by taking a gravimeter. We also understand how to calculate GN, the theoretical value is simple, considering a fixed mass of the earth, of course, and then depending on where on the reference ellipsoid you are, you can actually assign your distance, right, and use that as your R, and you can calculate the theoretical G. Now, let us go through the measurements. Now, I will try to explain, and this is a very, very conceptual stuff, so please pay attention. Now, let us say this is the topography of the earth. So I have a hill, I have a small valley. Okay? And at any imaginary location, point P is my gravimeter, okay, where I have taken my, so at point P, so at point P, I have measured my GM. Okay, that is where I have measured my, I have taken my gravimeter and measured GM. And then suppose here is my international reference ellipsoid. Okay. So if I consider this international, so here if I imagine that if I would have taken my measurement at this point, this would have been E dashed. What value of G I would have got? I would have got the value of, at point P dashed, I would have got value Gn, that is my theoretical value. Okay. So now let us also imagine that I have a higher density mass that is sitting beneath my earth. So this is rho 2, this is rho 1, where rho 2 is greater than rho 1. Just for example, it could also be rho 2 less than rho 1 as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So could you repeat the from the international reference ellipsoid line once again? There was a glitch in the voice, so I was not able to hear it.
Okay. So what I just said that P1 is a point which is kind of a projection, a vertical projection of point P, okay, on the reference international reference ellipsoid, where if I would have uh, theoretically calculated the gravitational acceleration, that would have been on point P1, the equivalent point, and say that that value is Gn. Okay? And then suppose I have also a mass which is sitting beneath the Earth's surface, which is having a density of rho2, which is different from rho1. It could be either high or lower than rho1. Okay. So, I mean, so the density of the mass is rho2, and then that is either higher or lower than rho1, which is the surrounding density. Okay. Now, my job is to actually figure out this body. So my job is to figure out this body. Okay. My job is to understand from the gravity signal the presence of this body. Okay. So the presence of from the gravity signal, the presence of this rho2 and the extent of the body. Okay. Now, this is my theoretical value. This is my measured value. Gm is my measured value and Gn is my theoretical value. Now, you can imagine that the Gm that I have measured, okay, so the Gm that I have measured is a function of this topography, is a function of this rho2 minus rho1, okay, and also is a function of the total Earth. If I write it here, so Gm is a function of, so for for example, I can say due to the topography, so let us call it as G topo is also a function of G due to rho2 minus rho1 is also a function of the total Earth, and that is nothing but my G theoretical. Do you agree with me? Do you understand this point, this statement? Everyone? Do you understand this point? Can you just tell me, anyone, do you understand this, what I just explained? What G measured is all about? Is a function of these topographical changes, is also a function of the difference in the density, and of course is a function of the total Earth that is present, which is my G normal, right? Or the G theoretical, right? Now, see, G normal I know.
Sir,
Yeah.
so the GN measure doesn't consider variations in density within the IRE.
No. Of course not. It will not. Nah. Because when you think about the international reference ellipsoid, okay, this is my international reference ellipsoid. It's a homogeneous surface around the Earth. It doesn't consider these local changes that you have in densities. It doesn't.
Yes.
It simply considers that I have concentric rings of crust, mantle, and core, which is homogeneously distributed. Okay, so it doesn't consider that, and that is the whole point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I only want to essentially find out, so my interest is this, right? This is my interest. Okay. For the example that we are going to talk about. So what I have to do, I have to decouple GN and I have to decouple this change in topography, right? That's it. So if I can do that, I should be able to find out the effect due to 0 to minus 0, 1, right? 0 to minus 0, 1 because of the density difference of the mass. I just have to decouple these two. Now decoupling Gn is rather simple. Okay, whatever you have measured, you subtract that from my theoretical value, so I can get rid of this very easy. But the problem will lie that I have not yet decoupled the effect of the topography. So
So
that is, yeah,
I have a question. Like
yeah.
in the factor G rho 2 minus rho 1, we should have an idea like priorly, like there is some additional mass and what its density is. So we should have like a prior information of this thing.
No,
Otherwise, we can't calculate it.
we don't. I'll explain that why we don't. You will see what it means. Okay, just hang on for the time being. We will. I mean, uh, what you will find out later on that you can pretty well detect the yeah, I'm just jumping ahead with because you have asked this question. You will find out this G rho 2 minus rho 1, okay, is actually a function of, okay, delta rho, the difference in density, this height h, okay, and this extent. Okay, let us say this is x extent. Okay, this is a function of these three. Okay, it with only the gravity method, it becomes very difficult to actually decouple these three. We will perhaps not know whether to essentially exactly pinpoint about how, what depth this body lies, what is the extent of the body, and what is the density difference of the body. Okay. But then, when you actually combine this with other method, then you will be able to decouple it. Okay, so decoupling at this stage, I mean at this level, is very difficult with only gravity method, and we will need prior information. But just finding out what is the effect on the gravity value due to the presence of this body is possible by the method that we are trying to describe. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's draw that once more. So what we are trying to do now, we are trying to get rid of the effect of the topography. Okay, that's all. And how to do that, and hence we will do these corrections. Let's draw that picture once more. Here is P, and here is my IRE. Okay. And here is my E dashed. So by this correction that we are going to discuss now, my idea will be simply bring P down to P1. Okay, I will try to bring down point P to P1 so that I can compare P and P1. Okay, I will try to bring down P to P1. Now, let us say Let us imagine a line somewhere here to the trough of the topography, which is parallel to IRE. Okay. So this is a line, this is an imaginary line, which is parallel to international reference ellipsoid, passes through the trough of the topography. Okay. Now my point P is here. Let us divide this topographical mass into two entities. Okay. One is this mass, which is kind of extra in the topography. And then there is this mass, which is kind of missing in the topography, right? Which is kind of missing in the topography. Now, first, let us try to get rid of this mass, which is my positive topography. Okay. Now, if I imagine that this point is here, okay, and here is the center of my Earth is somewhere here, right? So my G, small g, is directed towards the center of the Earth, towards this. Now, what this extra mass, the one that I have put under black, this positive topography, what this mass is doing, this mass is essentially pulling this point in the opposite direction. Okay, in the opposite direction of the G. Okay. So if I want to get rid of this positive topography, so this is positive topography. If I want to get rid of this positive topography, what I have to do? I have to, let us say we call the fraction, whatever it is, the effect of G due to this positive topography as delta G T1. Okay, let us call that delta G T1. So what I have to do? So I have GM. I have to kind of add that. Why? Because the one that I have measured accounts for this pull as well. Okay. Whatever I have measured here accounts for this pull as well. Now, if I want to get rid of this positive topography, I have to add whatever is being pulled out. Is that clear? I have to add whatever has been pulled out. Okay. Now, how about this negative topography? Can you tell me what should I do if I say that this delta GT1 is for the positive topography and let us say delta GT2 is for this negative topography or for this depression? What should I do? Should I add delta GT1 to it or should I subtract delta GT1 to it from it? Can you tell me? Anyone? Got my question, right? You understood why I am adding delta GT1 to my GM. Did you understand?
Subtract. So the next one will be subtract.
You think it will be subtracted? Why do you think it will be subtracted? Because positive mass we are adding, hence negative mass we are subtracting. Is that your logic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's try to think about it with a bit more clarity. Okay. So what I am trying to do, I am trying to essentially, so this mass was essentially pulling this up, right? Now, imagine if I want to normalize everything, I want to think, I mean, if I want to bring P to P1, what I can do, if I want to bring P to P1, what I have to do, I have to simply get rid of these masses from it, right? I have to simply get rid of these masses from it, right? From the calculation. That is my primary objective, right? So, for positive T1, because it was essentially pulling it up, I have added it. Now, what this mass is essentially doing, this negative mass, this is not there. Okay? So, if I now essentially try to bring P to P1, okay, I can think of that there is this plate, there is this whole mass, okay, which was there, which was due to was responsible for the calculation of GM. Okay? And if I get rid of this whole mass, okay, and then get rid of this whole mass, okay, I should be able to bring P to P1. Now, you see, if I want to uniformize this mass, I mean this whole body of extra mass, okay, what I have to do, this mass is essentially missing here. Okay, so the effect this positive mass is having on my measurement is similar to the negative mass that I am having, because this mass is not there. Okay, if this mass would have been there, then I would have got a higher value of GM. You understand? If this mass would have been there, this negative mass would have been there, I would have got a higher value of GM. If this mass would have not been there, I would have got a higher value of GM. Hence, I have added delta GT1. If this mass would have been there, I would have got a higher value of GM. So hence, I will also add delta GT2. Got my point? Shall I explain it once more, or you got my point?
Sir, if the extra mass is there, won't it like take you more away from the center of the earth? So like distance from the center increases.
Don't think about the distance at this moment. Okay, just think of the mass. We will deal with the distance later on. Okay, just think of the mass. My idea is to actually let's draw it once more. Let me try to explain it once more. Here is IRE. Here is my point P. Here is my point P1. So I want to bring P to P1. Okay. So the first thing that I am trying to do, I am trying to remove the effect of this mass. Okay. So if I want to remove the effect of this mass, what I have to do? I have to essentially flatten this black line. I have to flatten the topography. Okay. So that means I have to essentially simply have the topography looking like this. Okay. So what I have to do? I have to remove the effect of this. Also, I have to remove the effect of this. How can I remove the effect of this? Is by simply thinking that it is not there. Okay. So if I think that it is not there, what I have to do? From GM, I have to add delta G T1. Okay, this is delta G T1. Okay, and then if I think that this mass, I mean, if I have to remove the effect of this, I have to fill it with the equivalent mass. Okay, so if I add the equivalent mass, what does that mean? I have to also add delta G T2. Now, do you get my point? Because this was pulling this extra mass, this positive mass, was pulling my measurement. Yeah. Hence, I am adding delta GT1. And as this mass was not there, I'm trying to fill this one up. Hence, also, I'm also adding delta GT2. Is that clear?
Sir,
Yeah.
in the that delta GT1,
Yeah.
sir, if it's pulling the P upward, so to
Yeah.
flatten the line, shouldn't it should be like pulled downwards to like it should be pressed downwards. So we should minus the delta GT1.
No. Why? See, for example, now let's what I'm trying to do. Okay, let's think of it once more. Okay, let's think of it once more. I'll convince you. Let's say this is IRE. Okay. And let's say I have, this is my any surface, okay, at some distance, okay. So there is a, so, and this is not empty, there is a mass, okay. And then I have measured my, sorry, this is P, and here is my P1. So this mass is uniformly distributed here. Okay, that is where I want to reach. Now suppose I add some mass here. Okay, I add some mass here. What will happen to the value of G? Tell me. So this was, say, for example, this is GM. If I add the mass here in the opposite direction, what will happen to GM? Whether GM will increase or decrease? Give me that
It
answer.
will increase.
It will increase. Why?
Oh, sorry. We are adding to.
If the mass is in the opposite direction, GM will
Oh, yeah.
increase or decrease?
It will decrease.
It will decrease, right?
Yeah.
It will decrease. Because this is pulling, right? This was, if everything was pushing, I mean, this was attracting it to the center of the earth. This extra mass, what it is doing? It is pulling in the opposite direction. So what will happen to the value of GM? It will decrease. Decrease, right? You are convinced that it will decrease.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us say I take some mass out from here. I dig out this mass. This mass is no more there. What will happen to GM? It will increase or decrease?
It will increase.
Why? Because this mass is not there. So you remember G is equals to Gm by R square. So if I decrease my mass, because it is in the same direction, right? It is in the same direction. So I am decreasing my mass. So what will happen to GM?
It will decrease.
It will decrease, right? So by adding my positive topography, it is decreasing. By introducing my negative topography, it is also decreasing.
Yes, sir.
Right. So if I now want to get rid of this and get rid of this positive and negative topography, the effect of positive and negative topography, what I have to do to my GM? I have to,
You have to add it on both the
of
sides.
them I have to add, right?
Yes, sir.
Are every one of you convinced now
Yes, sir.
that I have to add for both of them? Yes, Gavin.
So the gravity which we get, the G corrected,
Yeah.
that will be based on the red line, not the IRE.
Yes, on the red, for the time being, it is on the red line.
Okay.
I have not yet come up to the IRE.
Okay.
Okay, it's for the time being. It is an on the trade line itself. Okay, here only on the trade line. So if I do that correction, if I add these delta GT1 and delta GT2, I am still at point P. Okay, are you
Yes.
clear,
Yes, sir.
everyone? Okay, so now I hope you are. If is anyone not convinced why I need to add both for my positive topography and both for my negative topography? Is everyone clear? Let me ask. Akriti, are you clear? Akriti, Ashwin, Chetan, Jitendra, Taima, Shivaks. Everyone clear? Yash? Very good. Half of my job is done. Because this is very, very difficult to convince people why do I need to add. I know it is counterintuitive. Hence, I did not put it in a pre-recorded lecture because this interaction is absolutely necessary. But I hope you are now clear. So what I have done by adding delta GT1 and delta GT2, whatever we have discussed is called terrain correction. Terrain correction. Okay. Now let us draw that picture once more. Is IRE. Okay. And here was my point P. Here is point P1. Okay. Now what I have done with terrain correction, I have got rid of this topography, right? So I have got rid of this terrain. Okay, now I can imagine that I have a line which runs like this. Okay. So GM plus delta G T1 delta G T2, that is what I have done. So now I can simply remove my terrain from here. Okay. And now this GM plus delta GT1 plus delta GT2 is representing the gravity at point P. Okay. Now you see it is still not at P1. So there is this extra mass which is there. Okay. Extra mass of uniform density is there without any terrain, which is kind of parallel to IRE. Okay, but think of it in 3 dimension. Okay, now this plate, whatever is extra, just a moment. Okay, that this plate, whatever is extra on the top of IRE is called Cougar plate. We see if I've spelled it rightly. A moment. Bouguer. Bouguer. This is called Bouguer plate, after the name of a scientist. Okay. Now, if I want to bring P down to P1, what I have to do? I have to count for this extra mass. Okay. And in this particular case, what do I have to do? If I have to remove the effect of this extra mass, okay, do I have to correct? I mean, subtract. So let us say the gravity due to this Bouguer plate is delta G dp. Whether I need to add it to delta, whether I need to add it to this term or whether I need to subtract it from this term. Can you tell me? So delta G, no, we are not considering distance as yet, just mass. So whether we need to subtract delta G dp, subtract or add?
Subtract.
Subtract. So yes, that is true. So what I will do, minus delta G dp. This is due to the Bouguer plate. And this is what we call as Bouguer plate correction or Bouguer correction. Okay? This is called Bouguer plate correction. So the first one was terrain correction. And then was my Bouguer plate correction. Now we are considering anything above the sea level. Okay? So terrain correction must always be added. Bouguer plate correction must always be subtracted. Okay. Now I have got rid of this Bouguer plate. So got rid of this Bouguer plate. Remember, in Bouguer plate correction, we only considered the effect of the mass due to the presence of this Bouguer plate, okay? Not the distance. So what it means that currently we have a point P which is simply hanging there, okay? Because we have just simply got rid of the mass. Okay, we have not got rid of the extra distance, this extra r, because you know G is Gm by r square. In Bouguer plate correction, I have only taken care of this extra mass. Okay, I have not taken care of this extra r. Now, what I have to do, I have to bring P down to P1. Okay, so I have to get rid of this extra distance as well. So, Bouguer plate correction, we need to subtract. And to get rid of this R, this is what we call as free air correction. And let us say we call it as delta G FA. Now tell me, if I want to bring P down to P1, whether I need to add delta GFA or I need to subtract delta GFA. Let's see.
Add delta GFA.
Add delta GFA. Why, Shivangi?
Sir, because G will be less than the ideal value.
Because G is inversely proportional to R.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So because mass was directly proportional to G, Hence, we got rid of, we subtracted delta GBP, right? But R is inversely proportional to G, small g, right? Hence, I have to add delta GFL. Okay, so this will give me my GMC. So that is my G measured and corrected. So that is G measured plus my terrain correction plus my Booger plate correction plus my free air correction. So once I do all these things, what I will have my P brought down to P1. Okay, so now P is brought down to P1. So here is my international reference ellipsoid. I have a value of Gn, which is theoretical, and then I have a value of GMC, which is G measured, which I did somewhere here. Okay, which I did somewhere here. GM plus terrain correction minus Booger plate correction plus free air correction. And now I have got here P dashed, which is equivalent to GMC. Okay. Now, if I do delta G GMC minus GN, okay, let's write it down here. Okay. Delta G is GMC minus GN. That will account for the extra mass which is sitting inside, because GN essentially doesn't account for this. GN doesn't account for this, but GMC does account for this. So if I essentially subtract GN from GMC, I will be able to get delta G, which is my gravity anomaly. Okay. And that will correspond to this extra mass, which is because of the extra density that I have. Now, if I do a simple plot, and now I'm plotting GN. So suppose this is my international reference ellipsoid. Here is my extra mass. And here I am plotting distance against G. Okay. Now let us see how GN will go. So let us say GN runs like this. The plot of GN, say more or less constant. And then I am plotting, so this is GN. And then I am plotting GMC. So before the mass came, GN and GMC is like same. But once the mass is there, GMC shoots up. And after the mass ends, GMC also becomes close to GN. Okay. Now, if rho 2 and rho 1, if rho 2 is greater than rho 1, it will shoot up. If rho 2 is less than rho 1, then it will down. So either we can plot Gn and GMC, or we can simply plot here in distance versus delta G, which is the difference between GM and GMC, GMC and GN. So how that graph will look like? So that will be kind of 0 before it hits the body, and then when it hits the body, it will be positive, the anomaly, okay, and it will again become 0 when it goes away from the body. Now this signal has two entities. One is its spread, okay, x, and it has its height, right? So this h and x is essentially a function of, the function of rho 2 minus rho 1, then the extent of the body, and the depth d. So the depth at which this body essentially is below the ground surface. Anyway, we will see how these things are. We will consider different bodies, and we will get into this point in a bit more details. But is it clear for you how this gravity anomaly, how these corrections are done? There are few more corrections which we will discuss in the next class. But do you have any questions so far? Or was it clear?
Sir.
Yes, Kavin.
So, few doubts. One was so the plate which we are removing in
Booger plate.
Booger plate. So
Yeah.
can that have gravitational anomalies as well, like concentration of mass?
No, that's the whole point. We are thinking it to be a Booger plate is an imaginary plate. You know, it's not there. I mean, you are trying to bring things down to reference. Okay, so you have to consider it to be an uniform mass.
Isn't it like the overlying amount of ground material above the IRE?
That is true. That is exactly true. But you have to consider that it is of the same density.
Okay, and also the reference line which was taken initially, that is above the Booger plane.
Yeah.
That line, is it like a what is the reference?
It is parallel to your international reference ellipsoid. It has to be. It can be at any point you want to consider, but it has to be parallel to your international reference ellipsoid.
So it is just like a extension of the IRE all over.
Not extension. It's a parallel line. Yeah, parallel line.
Okay.
Because you have to choose your references wisely. Na? The first time the reference point I have chosen to get rid of my terrain correction, get rid of the effect of the terrain. Okay. Then I wanted to get rid of the effect of the Booger plate. Okay. Hence, I have changed my reference.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
Hello.
Yeah, Rahul.
Sir, is there a scenario of IRE being above topography?
IRE being above topography. Well, it is. I mean, if you consider, we will discuss that. If you consider which is your beneath your, I mean, whatever we have discussed so far is onshore. I mean, above the mean sea level. Okay. If you consider it is below the mean sea level, the corrections will be exactly opposite. I think you are referring to something like that. Say, for example, in that case, Bogart rate correction is added, okay, and free air correction is subtracted if it is below the sea level. So you can do your gravity survey below sea level as well, right? I mean, your mineral deposit could be below sea level as well. In that case, your international reference ellipsoid, okay, will be, so you have to push your reference frame up. In that case, you have to add. So in that case, I mean, here the extra mass you have to remove by means of removing my Bogart plate. In that case, I have to add this Bogart plate to reach to my international reference ellipsoid. Okay, so your question is yes. Whenever you do this exercise beneath the earth, I mean beneath the mean sea level, I mean in the sea, in that case, yes, you have to add Bogart plate correction and you have to subtract free air correction.
Okay, sir, I
It's
understand that
exactly the
part.
opposite.
But what if we like if the IRE is in a is in space basically, like there is no mass.
I did not understand. So that's what I
Like
said. It's
above
in
the
it's
topography, as in like above the
yeah. So you
surface.
add your Bogart plate. Now in that case,
So there will be no mass, right?
yeah,
No,
but then you have
I'm
to.
not talking about below the surface.
Then
Like
how would it be? Then how would it be in the? I mean, how would you? I mean, what is the physical scenario that you are thinking of?
the IRE is
How?
above the surface.
How?
Not
It is above the
Yeah, that's
surface.
what
No,
I'm
I mean,
asking. Is that a possible scenario?
it is only possible beneath the sea.
Okay, okay. Okay, I understand.
You are not studying, Rahul. Have you
Oh,
gone through the international reference ellipsoid geoid from book and the
no,
lectures?
not yet, sir. So
You have
that's
to,
what I
man.
was asking
Otherwise,
clear.
that's what I'm trying to convey again and again. Otherwise, these things will just, I mean, you will not be able to follow up. But in few days, I'll start working on magnetic. So then these things will go behind your schedule, huh? So it's important that whenever I teach something, you go back and read and get yourself ready, huh? Rahul, please,
Yes, sir, my
पढ़ाई
bad.
करो थोड़ा, ठीक है ना?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? All right. If there are no further questions, then I'll stop it here. And we will continue with the same discussion. I mean, we will look into other corrections tomorrow, as well as we will try to quantify these corrections as well tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.